Hi, I'm Gabe Zichermann, author of Game-Based Marketing and funwareblog.com, and this is the Gamification podcast number 2. A week ago, I wrote an interesting blog post that got quite a reaction. I put forward the idea that the marketing mix was no longer accurate, and that we needed a new sixth P, pleasure. So in addition to price, place, product, promotion, and positioning, a new sixth P needs to be part of the standard marketing strategy session, and that is pleasure. Gamification's really unlocked the truism that consumers are hedonistic or pleasure-seeking creatures, and if given an option, they'll always choose the activity that they find more fun or pleasurable. This explains to a great extent why games have been so much more successful in the last decade than other forms of entertainment at attracting, retaining, and growing user bases. They're finely tuned to create and elicit a particular reaction in users that pushes the boundaries between excitement or enthusiasm and irritation. And that space in between is called flow. And it's the notion where a player or a user or customer really loses track of time and the fourth wall disappears. And they're no longer aware of the fact that they're engaged in a game or game-like experience, but in fact, all they're doing is interacting with the machine or the system in a way that they find generally pleasurable and exciting. That state of flow is something that game designers are really good at. Put another way, games are finely tuned to release particular neurotransmitters and create this general sense of pleasure. Dopamine, adrenaline, acetylcholine, serotonin, all things which are released by the brain in response to various stimuli. And a really, really effective game is better than basically any form of stimulation. Maybe sex comes close, but not as predictably, at causing the release of all these important neurotransmitters and basically creating a response in users which is similar to something that you might find if they were, lost track of time or addicted to a particular activity eventually from it. So what's critical to understand here is games are better at creating pleasure. Pleasure is a core activity that users seek to do. And what's really interesting about gamification is it finally levels the playing field for companies that aren't specifically game developers. By bringing the power of game mechanics, points, levels, badges, challenges, rewards, achievements, into the realm of non-game experiences like banking, healthcare, education, government, media, you're able to level the playing field with a typical game designer using their tools and techniques to create the kind of engagement, virality, and ultimately flow in your application, no matter how banal or or non-exciting the core behavior may be, to create the kind of engagement and create the kind of game-like response and the neurotransmitter response in the brain that really signifies an engagement behavior with the user. And ultimately, if done right, you also trigger the virality loop where your core interaction now demands the user bring forward other people into the experience in order to make it truly rewarding and connected. So this pleasure-seeking instinct is something that we can easily focus on, exploit, wrap our arms around, bring into our core product design mix. And as I'm sure user interface and product development and marketing strategists have always considered in their thought process, but now we have good language for, P, pleasure, is the sixth part, the sixth leg of an experience that really creates a marketing and product strategy that's holistic, that's engaging and viral. And we need to start thinking about pleasure in every user interaction design that we consider, and as a core part of how we market and how we create engagement with customers throughout their entire life cycle. So, product, price, place, promotion, positioning, and pleasure, the new 6 Ps. I'm interested in talking with you some more about your interest in pleasure and how you program for pleasure in everything that you do. Find me on the funwareblog.com or on Twitter at @gzichermann. I'm Gabe Zichermann. This is the Gamification Podcast number 2.